When we think of magic, it could go either way. One that is performed by magicians that goes back centuries ago, which was used to entertain people with parlor tricks, which caught the eyes of many. For those that perform publicly, it was perhaps enough to keep a roof over their head and provide food for their whole family, but it required traveling time away from their family too. But those acts are few and far between nowadays. What I like to get into today is the other kind of magic, the other one that is out of the ordinary, something that's a bit more esoteric rather than, the parlor tricks. It's become a mystery, and for some evil, depending on how you look at it, whether from a religious context or from a cultural point of view. For whatever reason, the topic of magic has piqued our interest and brought out the childlike imagination in us. So what of that kind of magic? Is it real or just another parlor trick? Well, come sit with me as I explain what I've gathered from this kind of magic. Well, I hope you're having a good day or evening wherever you are. I wanted to take the time to thank you for stopping by our channel and watching our videos. My name is Aya and I'm a metaphysical practitioner. I work alongside my mom, Hitomi, and together we work on our website, which is metaphysicalawakening.com. And also we work together on giving consultations. So if you and anyone you know are interested in having a spiritual consultation with us, feel free to visit our webpage and contact us directly there on our consultation page. We'll be happy to take down any of your questions and get back to you as soon as we can. You can also contact us directly at metaphysicalawakening@gmail.com. So we hope to hear from you soon, and thank you very much for your kindness and support. I'll leave the information below along with the links in the description. We hope that you enjoy the information given here that may open your mind to the possibility of what's out there beyond what we physically see, touch, feel, and hear. We hope you take the information with you and have a nice chat about it with your friends or family. This way you can bring forth a new kind of discussion that could turn into a very meaningful one, perhaps a very fruitful one. We hope that wherever you are, you're doing well and enjoying some time to yourself, doing what you enjoy doing. So we thank you so much for watching, and we hope you enjoy this video. Well, now on to the topic of magic. Well, the term magic that I'm referring to seems like something that is somewhat unreal, as if the term became a mystery. Well, where is it from, and what does that have to do with what's metaphysical? Well, let's first discuss what I believe the term magic is nowadays, because perhaps what I believe is magic may not be how you would consider the term magic. So let's start with that. Well, I think that magic is something out of the ordinary, so to speak, as I mentioned before. It's not something physical, nor is it energetic in the sense of what I feel personally from stone or crystal energy, let's say. Magic to me is somewhat of a spell casted by someone for whatever reason, such as putting a curse on someone or making them feel better, or making something come alive by reading a spell from a book, or cooking up a concoction in a black cauldron for an elixir of life, for example. All of these examples I would term as magic, although I would also call what magicians do still nowadays on stage, to entertain the public, magic too, but in terms of tricks. But I believe the first explanation is what we're here for. Now, if we're talking about that, then where did this concept come from? How did it come about, and is it real? Are there really witches and wizards out there somewhere performing this kind of magic somehow? What happened in the latest century was tragic in the way that many witches, or so-called witches, were burnt at the stake as an example for anyone who wishes to perform any rites or rituals that were similar to what they or any others performed. anything that was against the religious faith. But times have changed. Religions are not in control of society the way they were hundreds of years ago. Things have relaxed in that area when it comes to people's lifestyle. Those who wish to practice divination have been accepted in many cultures and in some highly respected. They are seen as though God has touched them with these abilities, so that they could become a medium between those who have gone to heaven, or such a place where the dead go, and the people who are left behind. But what of those who are left behind? Do they have a chance of speaking to their loved ones on their own? Well, of course they do. At least that's what I strongly believe from my own personal experience and that of others. There's no need of requiring oneself to get in touch with such a person to do it for them, unless they're having trouble doing so. A lot of times our emotions get in the way when accessing communication with those we love on the other side. It takes hard work and dedication to have that kind of communication you want with someone on the other side, for many of us. For some, it's quite natural. But again, this doesn't require one to be special or gifted, so to speak. Now, magic or some sort of sorcery was at play when one spoke to the other side. At least, that's how religion made it out to be. See, to them, magic or sorcery meant divination, which was against God's law according to the Bible and other religious textbooks. Even those who perform magic on stage, not the one I'm speaking of, but one that is a source of entertainment, was considered the workings of the devil to some. Magic in general was considered unholy to religious followers, and for some of the work, the work of the devil or some evil sorcery. Things were different back then, and in some parts of the world, this way of thinking has not changed. But the concept of magic took a turn when they began to use it in children's stories, especially fairy tales. It was no longer seen the same way as they did in those religious times. Instead, they took the concept of magic, many from Druidic beliefs and other pagan beliefs, and threw them into a more, let's say, magical world. They created a dream-like world where magic was used not only to harm or destroy characters, but also help save and protect others. They created the concept of morphing an object into another, and the same with people. They were able to change a poor, sad pauper into a handsome, elegant prince, for example. Magic was used to create a world in which everyone at some point in their life would have loved to inhabit. I mean, why not? You could turn whatever you want into something better with just a snap of your fingers. All the while, the child watches or reads the story in awe of what can be done with magic. Now the question is it real? Is it a concept to take seriously in such that there's something out there that you can have access to, in which you can destroy, manipulate, create, morph, or entice people with? Is there something out there that you can gather with your own innate abilities that will not only quantify what you yourself have access to from within, but diminish too if you don't like what you see? How about that? To access something that powerful, like what you see in the movies or read in books, it's quite scary actually. It would be great to have access to something like that if you use it for good, but what if your good is not essentially good for others around you? What if what you want will only eventually cause chaos, in a sense? I mean, if you keep wishing for what you want to appear in front of you, you may not be happy with what you get because, in a sense, you're only accumulating stuff in your life, which isn't necessarily going to make you happy in a sense. But what if you use this magic to create something good for society, and that backfires in such a way that threats are made upon you and your family, and life becomes a disaster? Our choices in life are made hopefully with thoughtful consideration, but even then we may make mistakes. That's the danger when it comes to the concept of magic. things may not turn out the way we want it to. Now, there's the concept of banishing evil with magic. What about that? Well, I find it to be a happy ending in a film or story when the good character wins and the evil is banished from the kingdom or wherever the story takes place. Well, it's not the case with how things work in our society. Each of us has our own idea of what evil is. What is evil to some may not be evil to others. Our cultural differences throughout the world, the way we have been brought up and continuing to bring up new generations in each culture, the way we see things eye to eye in my group of friends may be different from yours. Can be, it can be drastically different. Things are so different that it's too complicated to group everything in one or two categories. Even within a group, ideas or opinions on a matter on a given topic may be grouped into 4 separate categories. It's just hard to completely see eye to eye on a given topic. So what of evil? Do we see eye to eye on the definition of evil? Because in some cultures, they see evil as a demon that prowls around looking for weakness in an individual to catch them in the act, while others see evil as an abstract thing. When surfaced, an individual will act out ways that other good individuals would dare not do. Or evil could be seen as a totalitarian, dictatorial position in government that is more about the power of the position that causes harm on a population to have it their way. Therefore, evil has more to do with the kind of power the person has, not necessarily who they are inside. In some cases, that position is taken on by a controlling fool who thinks they can run everything and everyone when they simply can't. What I mean by that is that I find that many times they were raised and groomed to believe they can't, but it's really the party or the people who surround them that have control, or they are simply just following orders from those people. You see, advice from their advisors don't necessarily mean that they're advice, but occasionally you see those who really believe they deserve to be in that position of power because of their level of arrogance and belief that they can turn the country around and shape and mold it into their idea of a perfect society. They may see those opposing them as rodents in their way. They may take no pleasure in removing these individuals, but they do it to set an example for those who may have the same idea of opposing them. Well, anyways, should someone be gifted or have access to this sort of magic that'll allow them to banish or destroy these sorts of individuals? Well, it would be kind of great though, right? I mean, I hate to see anyone suffering from this type of regime, but it's happening nonetheless. Well, what of those individuals? Should we have the right to access that kind of magical power or sorcery or whatever you want to call it? Well, it's a tough question because, of course, you don't want the sort of person who you may consider evil to continue this sort of activity. At the same time, you don't want to be responsible for the death of an individual, even though this person may perhaps be causing not only suffering on their people, but death too because of the conditions and strict regulations. So what of that kind of situation? Should magic be allowed? Well, I for one feel it should be under careful consideration. I say this because if we're allowed to do something like this, imagine what this will open a door to. Pandora's box, so to speak. You see, this hypothetical situation, if it were to happen, it would cause so much ruckus in the world that we wouldn't know where to stop. Not only that, it would cause so much fear in the world knowing such a thing exists. So, no, I don't believe in magic, so to speak. At least not in the way we grew up believing from children's stories with witches and wizards performing sorcery of some kind. No, not in that. I don't feel we have access to some kind of energy that's out of our reach that we can call forth to do our bidding, or we can concoct with spells and rituals. I don't believe in that because of what I've seen for myself when it comes to spirits on the other side, in the kinds of performances they play out in front of people to make them believe in such stuff. And I mention this, and when I mention this, I'm referring to voodoo and such practices. I distinguish them from what is displayed as magic. Yes, I believe there's more to what's going on out there, but I also believe that not all of it is wisdom. Some are foul play or some sort of trickery. Some like to have fun with people or make them feel a certain way to do their bidding. The world of spirits, or the other side as some would call it, is in and all around us. They are in so much of our daily life that we have constant contact with them without consciously being aware of them. Thoughts are constantly floating around from here to there, thinking about this and that, and suddenly a song appears or plays in your mind, and then back to that thought or memory. You see, it's not so random as we think. Perhaps we just have a lot of spirits or people around us that we're picking up thoughts from. Something to consider, or something to think about. Now, going back to magic, well, I believe, yes, we all have innate metaphysical abilities. Why? Because we are energy beings in physical bodies. Yes, we are hindered from certain abilities we easily have access to when we are out of body, but that's because in some way that's regulated from the other side. Also, our bodies have limitations too. But anyway, I believe in order to have a more balanced system in mind, in some way, they regulate what we can and cannot do. With that thought, I'll leave it up to you. What do you think about magic? And do you think we have limitations in place when it comes to your own abilities? I'd like to hear your thoughts on the matter. Well, thank you so much for stopping by our channel, Metaphysical Awakening, and we hope you enjoy the information given here. We hope this and others encourage further dialogue on the many different topics that we touched on since we started. So I hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are, and take care of yourself. Be happy and be kind to yourself and others. You never know how much an act of kindness means to an individual today. Thank you so much. Bye.